Hi, I'm Avery Davidson.
And I'm Kristen Oaks White. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. Oysters have been harvested in Louisiana for a long time. Oyster shells have been found in archaeological dig sites dating to prehistoric times, and almost every immigrant group in Louisiana has used them in their dishes.
This week, TWILA's Neil Melancon travels to Leeville, where one member of the United Houma Nation is blending the old with the new, carrying on tradition while using modern farming to cultivate oysters.
It may not look like it, but this is a farm. Jason Petrie is hauling in his oyster crop. Believe it or not, just like land-based plants, this commodity is grown from seed.
We get oysters today at a size of about 2 millimeters. And so we take that out to the farm in small mesh cages where we grow them over usually a 3 to 9 month period to where they're able to reach market. And we bring to market about a 2.5 to 3 inch oyster that's very smooth, uniform.
Petrie is relatively new to oyster farming. He was a nurse in California before coming back to Louisiana for this life. While he's new to it, as a member of the Houma Nation, he's actually returned to his roots.
Growing up exposed to the fisheries, it always stayed a part of me. My great-grandfather was a TWILA medicine man, and so he used plants and herbs to heal the sick along with prayers. And the plant knowledge that we have is, that goes back thousands of years.
Petrie is a continuation in two ways. As a nurse, he's following in his great-grandfather's tradition as a medicine man, and that same relative also fished oysters by hand, and Petrie says he's proud to keep that alive.
Natives have always been along the coast in Louisiana, and so we started out with dugout pirogues out of cypress. That's our traditional way of going from bayou to bayou, different one Indian community to another. And so as things change, we just always adapted.
Petrie was part of a recent Capitol Day in Baton Rouge to remind lawmakers that oyster farming is an important part of Louisiana culture since even before there was a Louisiana. He shucked some of his own Bayou Rosa oysters, which are renowned for their taste like Vidalia onions or Ruston peaches.
My grandpa had an oyster lease in Bayou Rosa, and so they had a reputation. If he would tell someone he harvested oysters in Bayou Rosa, there would be a high demand because it has a great flavor. It gets a mix of the ocean water and then some land, so it creates a really good flavor profile.
One big threat to his way of life is coastal erosion. This open water was marsh just 6 months ago. The recent hurricanes haven't helped either. One big help is Louisiana Sea Grant, which has helped with the genetics, producing a fat, juicy oyster year-round.
Through the hatchery, we can get what's called triploid oysters, and so they have an extra chromosome and they don't spawn. So they'll stay fat year-round and they won't get milky.
The open water you see behind me used to all be land where Jason Petrie and his family farmed oysters for generations, and that's why efforts to prevent coastal erosion are so important, not just for members of the Houma Nation, but for everyone who loves these Louisiana delicacies. Reporting from Leeville, I'm Neil Melancon.
Bayou Rosa has oysters available in restaurants and directly. For more information on them, find a link on our website at twilatv.org.
There are about 52,000 teachers across Louisiana who educate more than 680,000 students through the Louisiana Ag in the Classroom program. They all have the opportunity to learn about the importance of farming and ranching.
Yes, but in the words of the Highlander, there can be only one. And by that I mean only one Louisiana Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year. For 2025, that teacher is Kessler Landry of Lafayette Parish.
What do you see at the bottom?
Potatoes!
Ah, potatoes!
It's harvest time at Marshall B.O. Elementary School in Broussard.
I love those. Those are great size.
Instructional leader Kessler Landry shares her wisdom about how to pull up the potatoes these students planted in February.
What part do you think this was attached to? Do you think it was a root, or do you think it was part of the stem?
Stem.
Why do you think it's part of the stem?
Because it's more sturdy than a normal root.
Okay.
Before learning sprouts in the garden, Landry provides a fertile foundation in the classroom. For this lesson on potatoes, Landry has these students label the parts of the plant, learn the geographic regions where people first cultivated potatoes, and even has them look at nutritional value based on how they're prepared.
90 calories from fat. Whew. The whole potato only has 110, and 90 of those calories are from fat in the potato chip.
That impressed Louisiana Ag in the Classroom coordinator Linda Danos.
Today we saw a lesson on potatoes that covered science, plant parts, life cycles that covered world geography when we talked about where they were originated. And then she managed to bring math and nutrition into the lesson as well. What more of a complete lesson can you ask for?
I feel like that's where my passion comes in.
Oh my gosh!
Landry's passion for gardening grew from her experiences with her grandfathers. Once the school started this garden 2 years ago with the help of LSU Ag Center Master Gardeners, she decided it was time to add this diploma to the 2 bachelor's degrees she already holds.
Everything that I had was experiential knowledge or things imparted to me from my parents or my grandparents. So to see their technical knowledge and how they related to the kids and all the give back that they were doing with the students here at our school, and I know what they do in the community as well, I was like, I want to be part of that.
How many do you have?
15.
By making her students part of this garden experience, Landry has seen students blossom despite the difficulty of having to learn a new language.
We had a friend last year and she had limited English, and when she came to us, it wasn't the very beginning of the year, so she missed out on the first parts of the lessons that we were doing. But she kind of fell in line really easily, and we went from saying one word to answer a question, to full sentences, to asking questions. It was just an amazing transformation, and yes, she does get that in her regular classroom, but the way she bloomed in the garden was just amazing.
I remember the first time when the kids went out there, when we first got the garden rolling, they were just enamored by what to do, and I watched them over the first couple of months, and they were lifting up the hay and watering under there and using things, looking for the bug. I mean, I couldn't believe the attention to detail that our third graders was giving to this garden to see it grow.
Christy Hayes is the principal at Marshall B.O. Elementary. She was there when Landry received this plaque for being named the 2025 Louisiana Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year.
She has worked so incredibly hard, and she puts that garden, she has so many tasks at school, but the garden is top notch like everything else she touches. And so when we were told, I mean, I was like, I wasn't shocked, I wasn't surprised. I was, of course she did. That's how I thought to myself, of course she won. But she deserves it.
Always fun to see how they work ag into the lessons. For being named the 2025 Louisiana Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year, Landry received an iPad, $500 cash, and an all-expenses-paid trip to the National Ag in the Classroom Conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota. While she will not be there, she'll get special recognition at the Louisiana Farm Bureau's 103rd Annual Convention.
Well, there are only about 3 weeks left of the 2025 Louisiana legislative session. Lawmakers have yet to vote on several important bills, which is why the Louisiana Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers are at the state capitol to see the process. YF&R Chair Nicholas Jaras says it's important for this group of about 25 to get a first-hand education on who makes the laws and what it takes to get a bill to the governor's desk.
Many of us have never been here before and don't know how the whole voting process takes place, or how the information's passed on through the senators and representatives. So we're here as a learning experience and to show our support for bills to be passed.
The 2025 regular legislative session is scheduled to conclude on June 12th.
For many in Louisiana Farm Bureau, being involved in the organization is a family affair.
That's true in our next installment of Road to Leadership, where we meet Louisiana Farm Bureau Secretary-Treasurer, St. Martin Parish sugarcane farmer Mike Melancon.
My name is Michael Melancon. I'm a sugarcane and soybean farmer in St. Martin Parish. I currently serve as Secretary-Treasurer of Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. My dad was a lifelong board member in St. Martin Parish. Once a month, he'd go out to a board meeting. Once a year, they had a big annual meeting. They'd barbecue a whole bunch of chicken halves, and it was a big ritual. It was always something that we did, to be honest, growing up. I didn't know much about Farm Bureau. I just knew it was someplace my dad went. And then probably about my early days of college, late days of high school, once in a while go to meetings. I knew everyone who was on the board, so it was easy. It wasn't like I was going anywhere else out of the ordinary. Even though I was in the organization early on, really didn't get involved till, say, maybe in my 30s. I became a parish board member. Not long after that, I was elected vice president. It was our parish's turn to be on the state board, because with our district rotation, I never thought it'd be me, but everybody encouraged me to take the spot. I guess I was really pushed by the folks who would ask me that question. Why do you spend so much time doing that? Well, you know, and those guys that are saying that don't go to meetings, are not involved, but they surely want you to help them when things are in a bind. So I felt it's got to be somebody, it might as well be me. The Farm Bureau wants something done, it's probably going to happen. And we have a good system in place to get it done. I think people underestimate how powerful we are in Baton Rouge, and for that matter in DC as well. I had no idea the legislative strength we had until you get really into it and you realize that anything that means something has to come through Farm Bureau. It's not the other way around. Our federation strength is unmatched. And look, it's hard to jump in, but I assure you that every parish I'll visit, everyone's inclusive. They want you there, they want to help. The culture of everyone is the same. Everyone's thinking, you know, everybody's volunteering. It's a real good club to be in. I can only imagine what my life would be without Farm Bureau. It would, you know, be completely different. And I'm sure it'd still be fine, but it's just, the world's easy if you're connected to this organization.
We'll continue this series next week when we introduce you to Women's Leadership Committee Chair Michelle Simoneau. In the meantime, you can find all of these segments on our website at twilatv.org.
Still ahead, Louisiana beef. It's what's for dinner.
I'll take you feasting on agriculture up next.
You're watching This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
Welcome to Feasting on Agriculture. I'm Kristen Oaks White, and it is a beautiful day in Monterey, Louisiana, which is where we're here today, at my father-in-law's farm, a place I know pretty well. And we're going to find out why raising beef is both a passion and a science for Landon White.
Feasting on Agriculture is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, Beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
Her daddy's an Angus Man, and we had 2 Brangus-sired heifers out of her first heifer she brought to me, and he had to have those heifers. Just because they had that little bit of ear in them.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm Landon White. We raise registered Brangus cattle. We have about 150 fall calving cows and around 60, 70 head of replacement heifers a year.
This is really your passion, raising cattle.
Well, I grew up, my daddy had cattle and row cropped also, and he ended up leaving row crops and going completely into the cattle business, and that's probably my biggest passion out of all of it. We just don't have the land that we need to get bigger into cattle in our area, but so we went into the registered business, and we've sold bulls for probably right at 30 years now. We've raised bulls and sold bulls. These are 2 steaks from some steers we harvested. And look at the intermuscular fat that's running through that meat.
Yeah. And you do know what genetically provides that to you, right? Angus, what would you say if somebody said, what kind of herd do you have?
I have a Brangus herd with a little Brahman influence because of the heat and the humidity in our area and what we need to avoid the heat on the stress on the animals. And they just seem to work a little better here for us. We do bring in some Hereford or Angus to go in with them to cross up some, but we still have a little bit of ear in them, about 3/16 Brahman at least all time.
So for somebody that doesn't understand the purpose that marbling serves and the finer marbling, why is that better?
For the flavor, for the taste.
Right.
Yeah, the meat, and it tastes great. And we don't season. Maybe a little pepper, salt. Mm-hmm. No season. I like meat.
Is that the mark of a good steak?
Yes, I like meat. I don't like seasoning.
Okay. You've got a lot of passion since I've known you about the genetics and everything that goes into not just phenotypically making a better herd. Tell me, why are you so passionate about that?
Well, we basically want to raise the best we can. We have a very maternal herd. We also select for carcass, ribeye, IMF. We've used some Hereford bulls, and the Hereford bulls that we bought have been the top carcass genetics in the breed that we use, and we started feeding a few steers out to sell to people, mainly to use for ourselves. We were pretty disappointed with the meat we were buying in the grocery store, so we decided we'd start feeding our own steers again.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Isn't that a beautiful ribeye?
Yeah.
That's some of those that guy at Brookhaven.
What goes into producing a good cut of beef?
Easy handling, safe handling. We've really worked on that for a long time, and we've got our cattle down to where they're all really good, easy going, gentle.
I know a lot of people I don't think understand how well these animals are taken care of.
They're just like anything else. They have to be fed. They have to have something to go, energy to meet their needs. Management is the -- thing to success in any business. And it's the same with the beef business. And we have to care for the animals. When you sell a bull at an auction and you see what he brings, what you get rewarded for what he's done, for what you've done, for what you've produced, that's the reward in it.
Is there anything better than black cows on green grass?
Not much. Not much. No, that's a very good feeling.
When we come back, we're going to head into the kitchen to grill up some of this delicious farm-raised beef with somebody else I know pretty well, my husband, Landon White. Stay with us. Special treat, I hope, for you. I've got my husband, Landon White, which is Lynn's son, and he is going to cook some of Lynn's beef for us, because the one thing that you do really well is he cooks the best steak that I've ever had. And we cook steak a lot, do we not?
We do, yep.
But you've got to really, and you never want to cook for people, but I'm forcing you today to cook for all of our television viewers, because you're very particular about how you cook your steaks.
Yes.
So what's the first thing you need to do?
I always like to start with selection, where you're going to get your beef from. Dad does a good job with the ones that he has fed to slaughter. If you go to the grocery store, the one thing you're looking for is the marbling, right?
The one thing that you always tell me to do is, if you're going to cook a steak for me, is to set it out.
Right. I always like to get it to, hand me a paper towel. I like to get it to room temperature. If not room temperature, just get it out an hour or so before you're going to cook it, and it helps with an even cook. And meat's always packaged with the wrapping, and it's usually tight and deformed. I always like to take them with a paper towel and just dry them off as much as you can, and really kind of get that shape that you like to see when a finished steak, and just kind of mold it and shape it. After it's about room temperature, we can set them out and put the seasoning on as you're getting your pan hot. Salt and pepper, usually you can get by really light. You're kind of letting the meat do the work here.
Okay.
And you like a lot of blackening seasoning on yours.
Yes. I like a lot of salt.
Yeah, a lot of salt. That's why I have high blood pressure and no money, because I use a lot of salt, and we eat steaks all the time.
Okay, seasoning it a long time ahead of time can make it really salty.
Yeah, so that's why I'm putting, you're gonna say, my gracious, look at all that he's putting on there. But you're throwing these on in here in like 5 minutes. Then we're gonna throw some cracked black pepper on here. And this is what I like better than anything to help with the crust, is the pepper.
Yes.
Another thing we're gonna do, grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil across all of it. And see, you can look at this and say, man, this guy can cook a steak. I can cook a steak at home.
Yes.
Because he doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. But the judge at the house is Kristen.
And I'll tell you who else is a picky customer. Our 2-year-old.
Yes.
He likes steak.
And he will eat this, so if you can please him, you'll please anybody. All right, we are ready to go on the fire. But you get that sizzle on there. That's what you want to hear. We want it hot, we want it going. All right, most important thing here, don't move it. You want to move it?
Patience.
Patience. patience.
How long? Like 3 minutes?
It's all kind of by feel. Most people are going to say 2.5 minutes each side, but you're going to get a different cut of steak each time. It's going to be, the thickness is going to be different. So you just kind of go and learn as you go.
That's always how. See, he never goes by a recipe.
And I'm not going to use a meat thermometer either.
Okay. Do you want me to cut the butter up?
Yes. Here we go. There's our crust. All right, so we got our crust.
Okay.
We did a few minutes on one side, we flipped over on the other. Your mama's going to see. Perfect. We're going to butter bath. The most important part now is to let them rest.
Well, now it's time to test your cooking skills and your genetics and beef raising skills, because we've got this meal that's nicely put together. I added the side because you do the meat usually at home. I do the side, so we'll put a recipe on our website for all of this when we get done. But now it's time. Let's test. Let's test how well your son can cook.
I don't think I burned them too bad.
Looks pretty good to me.
Hard to mess it up.
Very good.
Just like it always at home.
Didn't burn it too bad?
Pretty perfect. And I always tell you that sometimes it's the cut of meat when it's not good, but this cut of meat's awesome, so kudos to you. Well, this has been like a makeshift, one of our family dinners. So thank you so much, Lynn, for welcoming us out here today. I know you are very busy, you got a lot going on, but thank you for welcoming us. Everything has been wonderful. Landon, I had to put a gun to your head to get you to cook on TV, but
Didn't turn out too bad.
I guess this will be my Mother's Day gift, so.
There you go.
Thanks so much for joining us for Feasting on Agriculture. If you want one of these recipes, we'll put a link on our website at twilatv.org. Until next time, we'll see you feasting on agriculture.
Feasting on Agriculture was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, Beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board. Think rice.
Time now for this week's TWILA Boost, and we're again visiting one of our favorite content creators in the South.
Koa Melancon and her friend show us the prairie life on a rice farm.
Come on, little lady. Got to work for our rice. You're not scared?
No, I'm just hoping I don't get out of breath.
Don't look down. You're going to go in there? I'm going to let you do it.
You want to go swim?
So that's what it looks like in the road.
Go get us some rice. I'm going to let you do it.
Okay, come on. Come on, let's go check on the field.
We got to check on the field to make sure the rice is good. I don't see no rice yet. Not yet? No. Oh yeah, that looks about right. Whew, that was a lot of work.
My way.
Oh Lord, what a heaven paradise.
You think they're gonna notice?
I don't think they'll notice. How much longer till we earn our bag of rice? Y'all got any beer? What's in that ice chest over there?
All right, I guess y'all earned these today.
Thank you so much. It was all worth it.
All worth it. Don't worry, I still got them 2 big ones that I brought in the car already.
Come on.
You dress up like that on your farm?
Only on Tuesdays.
Sending the crew on a Tuesday. That's what we're going to do. That does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll talk to medical experts about the many mental health challenges farmers face.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also find all of these stories on our YouTube channel, and be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know exactly when we put out new content.
For all of us here at TWILA, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.